We're going to talk today about light. Has anybody seen the light? But before we're going to talk about the light, I need to remind you, if you have any questions, you can email us at rabbigaon@gmail.com. And if you want to help us to donate to the Yeshiva, you can go to our Yeshiva website at Yeshiva Etzion, Etzion.com, to our PayPal account, and make your donation there. When we talk about lights, we're talking about spiritual light. It's not like the light that we have here. It's a manifestation of something spiritual, not light, physical light that we have here. In the spiritual dictionary or vocabulary, there are two different types of light. There is internal light and external light. In Hebrew, it's called or pnimi, internal light, or mekif, surrounding light, which is external. The light in which the vessel, and we'll explain some other time what exactly the vessel is. It's a little bit out of order, but I want to get it like that. The light in which the vessel is able to content inside is called its internal light, or pnimi. Every vessel has a given amount of light which it could possess. What it cannot and comes down on it becomes the what we call the external light, which really wraps it around it. So, for example, give me the cup here. Anything in the cup? Ooh, tea. All right, Sam's tea. Anyway, so I have the light that comes down into here. So there's a certain amount of light that goes inside, but the light that cannot be contained by this cup is all around it. Chofeh alav is covering all around it on the outside, and that light, the external light, is the light that shines on the vessel from a distance. Therefore, and because of that, the influence that light has on the vessel itself is minor, because it's shining on it from a distance, not like that. For example, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've ever seen a teepee or a tent at night. If you go to the wilderness, and if you haven't, you should. If it's dark outside, and you have light inside that shines on your tent from the inside, you could really see it for miles. That's the internal light. The external light is the light that will come from outside during the day. It doesn't shine on it so much. Just reflects. Here the internal light comes from inside. So the external light, the ora meikif, the influence that it has on the vessel himself is minor. The internal light works and operates inside the vessel to clear it, clarify it, and to perfect it. That's what allows you to become, in a way, a better vessel. When we talk about vessels, we're talking about also the clarity of the vessel, the amount of abundance that it could allow through itself down to this world. A person is a vessel. The more he allows the light to shine from inside out, the greater the influence it will have on other people around. But it comes because it makes you into a good light. So into a good vessel, you would shine, so-called. If you are a thick vessel, or the light inside of you is very minor, and you have thick walls because you're a brute instrument. Let's say argument, compare clay to fine crystal. I can take a flashlight or a candle, and I'll put it inside the clay, you will not get any light coming out. But yet, you'll take the same candle or flashlight, you put it inside a crystal, and it would sparkle itself all around. Moshe Rabbeinu was a clear vessel. It was untinted. That was the highest level that a human being can reach. It was a clear vessel. So that's the external, the internal light, and the reason why it refines the vessel, it is because like this it could hold on more light in it. Don't think about it as light like this. Think about it as, let's say, argument's sake, let's say call it liquid, okay, just to have. So if I have a ball that has very thick walls, and let's say I can only put inside a liter of water. But if somehow I'll be able to grind internally that vessel to refine it, to make it really fine and thin, and now instead of having a liter of water or a gallon of water, now it holds, let's say, 1.1, 1.2, or 1.5. Depends how much I am taking from the inside out. Because what holds it in the space, what makes the vessel a vessel, is the space inside. Lehavdil, like the famous Chinese verse, right? The concept is the concept, right? It's the vessel that holds it. So what's important in the vessel? It's not. I mean, let's say, for example, this is beautiful. Let's say it's a gorgeous, beautiful clay with decorations and so on and so forth that Picasso himself, so in terms of the Picasso work inside, maybe it's worth a lot of money. But if the vessel is closed, no water can go in, that's not a vessel, that's a piece of clay with paintings on it. What makes it more functional is if I have some space that I can actually hold something inside. It's the same thing here. So this is the mutual influence or the how should I say it? The corresponding between the connection between light and vessel, the interaction that they have between light and vessel. The kli, the vessel, reduces the amount, metzamtzem, constricts the light, and from the other hand, the light refines the vessel and weakens its ability to constrict the light. So if the vessel is my body and I allow my body to become brute, therefore the light that will come out of, that is inside of me, will be more constricted, and I will be a very brute person. Where if I'm a refined person, the light will come out. In Yiddish, the Ashkenazim call it, a person like this, edel. Edel means gentle, refined. I'll tell you a joke later. So, by doing so, by refining the vessel, we have more light from the surrounding light enter the vessel and continue refining it and expanding it, so you will have more. And by doing so, you allow more light to come in, more light from the external light, and refining. So in a way, the vessel, the kli, it's a very plastic type of a vessel that is allowed to expand all the time. But in order to expand, I need more light. And what will bring me more light is a more flexible vessel. If I have a very rigid vessel, it's giving the amount of light that it could contain. So I need to be, so you see that our vessels are more flexible. If the vessels are not flexible, and there is an abundance of light greater than the ability for it to come, it would shatter and it would break. For example, I can take a cup or glass and open the tap and slowly, slowly fill the cup up. However, if I will go to Niagara Falls and I would lean over and I will take my cup and I'll try to take water from Niagara Falls, most likely I'm going to lose the cup and the cup will go down, will fill with water, but it will shatter and break because it is way too intense. The water that come out are way too intense for the cup to hold, and it will break. And that kind of scale. Light and vessels are roots for the neshama, for the soul and the body, and to their mutual influence one another. There is a certain correlation between body and light. Bigger body, bigger vessel, less light, and the other way around. The body, the goof, in our delays and restricts the light that the soul would produce, and by doing so limits the control of the soul over the person. Therefore you will be more physically oriented rather than spiritually oriented. You are not refined. If you understand that, now you would understand why the Torah also limited the amount or the types of food that we eat or we're not allowed to eat. Because these foods would increase the influence over the body, over the soul, and would make you as a result less refined. So that's as a side thing. And the other way around, the more the neshama controls, the spiritual controls the body, it would be able to recruit the body to avodat Hashem. So therefore, if your soul is reflecting so much light out, every act that you would do throughout the day, whether it's eating or lehavdil defecating, whether it's having relations or riding your bike or exercising or working or anything that you do in life would be geared towards avodat Hashem. Everything will be a part of working HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, everything will have a spiritual purpose to it. We don't understand that. That's why when we eat for desire, we eat for the body, we don't eat for the soul. And that's why a mitzvah that is associated with eating, like matzah or any other mitzvah, if it's called achila gasa, that I'm eating because there's a lot of food and just free food, eina shma achila. It's not considered to be achilat mitzvah. It's eating, but not achilat mitzvah. Achilat mitzvah, it has to be eating for the soul, because it's a mitzvah, not eating for the body. So one needs to remember that. And by doing so, it refines the body and it prepares the body to be able to receive inside of it other portions of light of the neshama that before were just hovering around waiting for you to come in as what we call the or makif, and now you allow them in. That's why sometimes you get this like burst of a sense to repent, to do tshuva, or to do something like this. Because somewhere along the line, in the process, something happened that you allowed a little crack in the physical body of yours that allowed some light to come in, and that expanded. And all of a sudden, you feel like doing more, and doing more, and doing more. But you could be doing mitzvot and so on and so forth for the wrong reason, with the wrong intention, and you will feel more restricted, more restricted, more restricted. It won't be spiritual. It will be choking you, and you just don't. There's not a problem with the halakha. There's not a problem with the Torah. There's not a problem with those things. The problem is with you, that you haven't become refined. If you haven't gone to shul yet on Shabbat and say, man, I love to pray on Shabbat. Shabbat is so much different. I pray every day. Shabbat is different. Maybe there's something you need to look at yourself. Maybe overall throughout the week you restricted the spirit, the light. There was not enough light, so therefore there is darkness inside of you. And that's, of course, the spiritual darkness. I'm not talking about depression. And by the way, that's another thing. Depression. When a person is depressed, why do we say has lo shechina? Because the depression restricts the person. And when you are restricted, you can't be happy. And if you are not happy, how can you do avodat Hashem? Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. That's why it is. And this is how in the first stages of creation, this is how all those roots of what we call Yetzirat HaKelim, formation of the vessels, and the corresponding relationship between body and soul, that's how those things happen in what we call Olam Asiyah, in our world that we have, where one needs to understand that the internal light is the understanding, the recognition that a person is saturated with it, and he needs to identify himself with that, and as a result of that would live his life according to the calls of his soul, of his spirit, not according to his body desire, and so on and so forth. And that will determine, in a way, your action. So therefore, if you understand that this light is inside of you, allow this light to grow, and that will determine your actions. That's mitzvah goreret mitzvah. Why mitzvah goreret mitzvah? There's more room, and it expands. It's like the universe. Universe keep on expanding. How much would the universe expand? Forever. Expands. It's elastic. So you see that in a way, by learning astronomy, you can actually learn about your spirit as a person as well. There's no difference. You should not separate one and the other. They're all connected. It's all a part of this world. And so therefore, this is the external life. The surrounding life, Or HaMekif, is the notion, the understanding about things that are still above our level. There are things that are higher on us that we don't understand. And I'm not really fulfilling and living up to them with my actions. There are greater things than me. In other words, when a person comes in and he wants to learn Kabbalah right away, he needs to understand he hasn't yet perfected himself and prepared himself to such understanding. It's above you. It's greater than your understanding. And you have to wait. You have to perfect yourself. Clean your vessel inside. It's okay to realize that there are things that are greater than you that you don't understand yet. But don't get frustrated in that. Prepare yourself for that. And one needs to understand that there is a purpose for the external light. The external light will give you a point of reference to yearn, to develop. There are higher things than me. I see them. I want to understand. Because if you don't have a point of reference in life, you get lost. If you feel that you learned everything there's nothing for you to learn, you're lost as well. So not knowing anything, it's okay if you're willing to learn. But not knowing anything and thinking you know everything is the same thing. It doesn't get you anywhere. And that influence that I know that there are greater things than me, there's a distance for me to go, and I'm yearning to reach that goal, is the influence that the Or Mekif has on me from a distance. It's shining on me as a beacon from the distance that would allow me to align myself with it and strive to achieve greater things than I am right now. Greater challenges. That's why it's okay to strive. Don't be afraid from achieving. Don't be afraid of finishing. It's another step. And it's going to be endless steps. Don't think like you graduate out of college and that's it, you're done learning. It's only one step, and so on and so forth. You continue to grow, to develop. The problem is with people that they get stuck in a certain state, and then they're like 50, 60 years old and still have a mentality of an 18-year-old. It doesn't fit that. And then they become very closed-minded people. Because there's no influence of the or Mekif, the surrounding life. There's nothing for them to strive. They always want to go back. They want to go back. They want to go back. So the work is mutual. You need to work on the light inside to shine out for the purpose of being able to get more inside. So therefore, the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, and the more you want to learn. And then the more you learn, all of a sudden you say, I don't know much. But you look in the back at people, you say, oh my goodness, what happened there? How come I thought they were so much better than me? So that's the correlation between external light, internal light, between body and soul. Have a great day.